everybody, this is Skip Wilson.
Hi, I'm Rhonda Thornton in Compliance.
Rhonda manages everything that has to do with logs, permits, and everything compliance related. So wanted to bring her on here and just kind of get an update and see how we're doing and look for some areas for improvement and see what we can do to always do better.
Yeah, absolutely. Always glad to hop on and say hey to the drivers and see what we can do to help. So there's, Samsara has its ups and downs. Some drivers really do real well with it and some drivers really struggle with it, but it's like anything else. It's technology.
Yep.
So some of the things that we're struggling with in the industry right now is drivers are using the split brakes, which I totally am 100% on board with splits. They're good for the industry. We just need to make sure that we do them correctly. Anytime that you're sitting for 2 hours or more, you can pause your clock and utilize the rest of that clock. But you have to remember, once you stop, you got to finish the split brake correctly. So
whenever you pause your clock with that split brake, it's got to be in a sleeper berth, right?
the first brake can be off duty or sleeper berth. Anything 2 hours to 7 hours is the small brake.
Okay.
Then once you pair that with the large brake, and most drivers will do a full 10 after they do the small brake. But of that 10, they're not going to the sleeper berth for 7 to 8 hours. So then after you stop, it'll give you a violation. So I've got drivers calling me, why am I in violation when I paused my brake? Honestly, realistically, you can't use a split to go from one customer to another because that customer's not gonna let you stay for 7 to 8 hours with no movement. They're gonna say, driver, you need to leave and pull around back or pull to the dock, and once you move during that large break, it voids the split.
So if we plan on doing that between customers, we really need to make dang sure that they've got parking available for us there.
Right, or you can get in and get out before your extended clock is up. If you can't get in and out before that extended clock is up, then you have to just sit for 7 to 8 hours with no movement.
I know for a while we were having issues certifying our logs. How have we been doing there?
We're still struggling with that. Some of the people that are going through ADT are really starting to see how it works because I'm using, they're actually hands-on with the tablet, so that's always helpful. All I can say is encourage drivers, make sure that you please, before you start your shift, just open up today's log, see how your forms look. Is your trip number correct? Is your trailer number correct? Have the previous 7 days been certified? And if that looks good, then you're good to roll.
And I've seen some people that have more than one trip number on their logs too.
Yes, so when you get a new trip and trailer, you'll go to your asset vehicles and you'll update the new and delete the old. That's the first step to the process. Then you go and open up the log for today and you delete the old and make sure the new came through correctly. If you don't do that, they'll start stacking up inside there. That's some of the calls. I have probably 5 or 6 calls a day when I'm talking to drivers about that. Once they see, oh, I can see it now, it makes sense, but it's just getting the word out to the entire fleet.
Yep. And if we're certifying them every day, we don't have anything to worry about. But it's always a good practice to, anytime you're going through an inspection, just make sure they're certified before you hand them over, right?
Yes, if you have time. Sometimes that's a quick
Right.
pull through and they want to see your tablet. I did have a driver got wrote up because he couldn't turn the button or turn the knob and pull the tablet off and hand it to the officer. The officer wanted it to be handed outside the window. So he did get wrote up for that. And then I did have a pretty ugly one where we had 15 log violations and one in stop. Obviously the officer was probably being a little bit rambunctious about that, but It can happen.
And while we're talking inspections, looks like we've been seeing a lot of overweight violations here lately.
Overweight, drivers being on restricted routes with their vehicles, so we really want to make sure we plan those routes and make sure we're watching our signs. And if you don't speed, you're wearing your seatbelt, you're scaling your loads, your truck is clean, good clean inspection will pay you $100. But it seems like our inspection count is down. I used to see 10 to 15 a week. We're seeing about 6 to 7. So I'm not sure what's causing that, but good inspections actually help our score. So we want as many of those as we can get.
Yep. So make sure we're scaling all of our loads so we know that we're legal for each state that we're going through, not just the state that we're in.
Yes.
Right? Because it's not often that we see anything that's over gross.
Right.
It's all over axle,
Yes.
and we can slide our tandems or our fifth wheel and get legal before we ever leave.
Yes.
Right? So it's the easy basic stuff that we just got to make sure that we're staying part of. And it all comes back to trip plan too, right? We got to know where we're going to be scaling. We got to know what routes we're going to be taking. We got to know what speeds we got to be running to get to our next stop on time. So really it all boils back down to a good solid trip plan. The better prepared you are, the better prepared you are for issues.
Yes, and this, so it's our policy to scale all of our loads with a CAT scale, so
Yeah.
we're abiding by that policy, we shouldn't have any issues.
And if we pick up a 10,000 pound load, likely we're not going to scale it, right?
If you can be over axle, that's what you need to think about.
Yeah, but good rule of thumb to always have that, as soon as you get loaded, know where you're gonna be going. Not get loaded to see how heavy it is, and then try to figure it out, or just keep going. You know, cause oftentimes whenever we see these, they're in a couple states away from where we got loaded.
Right. And let's make sure when we get pulled over, we go on duty for the inspection, and we know to go to the roadside icon so that we can send our logs to the officer.
Yep.
I know sometimes we get a little nervous, you know, we're dealing with an officer, and we forget where that button is, so.
Yep. Yep, and just a quick reminder too, unless it's an emergency where you're broke down or having any sort of medical emergency, do not park on the side of the road, right? If you do, make sure you get your triangles out, and get them placed, you know, right away. But don't park on the side of the road. We've seen a couple people here lately, you know, we had a bad accident back in April where we were actually stopped with an emergency and got rear-ended.
Yes.
So it happens, not because of anything other than we're on the side of the road, we're still in the roadway, right? So people aren't paying attention, cars are texting and driving, switching lanes, whatever it is,
For sure.
you know,
Yes.
you gotta stay on the defense.
Yes, for sure. And don't use personal conveyance when you run out of time because you can't park on the side of the road. Just
Right.
go over your hours, call me the next day, tell me what happened to change in your trip planning. I'll just make a good note. We don't want to use personal conveyance for work-related movements.
But we shouldn't get to that point where we have to park on the side of the road because we're out of hours, or have to go over our hours just
Right.
because we can't use PC. Make it part of your trip plan. Know where you're gonna be going.
Yeah.
Aim for that, make it, and if you don't, leave yourself enough time to be able to reassess the situation before the end of your shift.
Always have a plan B for parking. It's a challenge right now. Most parking lots are full.
Well, thank you for everything that you do. Again, stay ahead, be prepared, and be able to tackle any issue that comes to you. And you got a building full of people here that work for you, so please lean out and reach out and use us when you can.
Yeah, call anytime. We're here.